Thank you all for being here with us today as we celebrate our state's continued leadership on reproductive freedom. We were a leader with Griswold for Griswold versus Connecticut, which provided the underpinning for the Roe versus Wade case. And here we are, sadly, to continue to provide leadership, not just for our state, but for our whole country as we deal with the next Supreme Court ruling that we expect will demolish half a century of settled law and reproductive freedom for women. The draft opinion was alarming, infuriating, and just plain wrong. And so today we celebrate legislation that will move us forward instead of backward. We know that inequities will be created by laws passed, such as the one in Texas, where women of color and indigenous women will be at a disadvantage. And so today, the governor and I and all of these legislators behind us, Democrats and Republicans, are standing strong behind Connecticut's Roe versus Wade law that's enshrined in our state statutes. And we are also here to support the legislation passed this session that will protect medical providers and patients who seek reproductive health care here in Connecticut. And this legislation also expands access to reproductive health care, which is so important as health care access has become limited in certain parts of our state, in the northwestern part of our state, in the eastern part of our state. This legislation will protect reproductive access in Connecticut by extending and expanding the practitioners who are eligible to perform these important procedures. So today, we are celebrating a legislative victory in Connecticut, and we are also standing with the women across the country who are losing their rights. We are the safe harbor for those women. So this is a Connecticut story, but this is a national story as well. And we want women outside of our state to know that they are welcome in our state because we will help them with the health care that they need. So today, we are celebrating this important legislation, and I do think that it is one of the reasons why Connecticut is designated as one of the top 2 states in the country for women and families, because we take the rights of women extremely seriously. And I think it's also why so many people are choosing to come to our beautiful state, because they know that we will stand up for the rights of women. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce the Speaker of our House of Representatives, who is also going to introduce all of these impressive people behind me. Matt Ritter.
Thanks, Governor. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Bysewicz, and they certainly are impressive. I normally, when I speak at issues on reproductive rights, I'm normally very brief. I normally just say that it's a woman's choice and I walk away. But today, I have a great pleasure of going a little further than that and introducing my wonderful colleagues in the House and one in the Senate. So let me start by just introducing them in order and then give them a round of applause after for their steadfast work all session, for their personal stories, for their courage. They're not just here today behind us to sign a bill. They were here in January and February and March when the hard work in committees was taking place and the emotional debates took place on the House floor. Representative Cavros-DeGraw, Representative Blumenthal, Representative Hughes, Representative Horn, Representative Johnson, Representative McCarthy-Vahey, Representative Berger-Javallo, Representative Quinn, Representative Young, Representative Delaney, Representative Gilchrist, Representative Wiellander, and from the Senate, Senator Summers. And it reflects much of the diversity of this state. It's rural, suburban, male, female, people from high-income towns and low-income towns. And so, as the governor, lieutenant governor alluded to, the protections in Connecticut remain strong. The commitment from a bipartisan group and from people all across the state of Connecticut remains strong. And although normally bill signings, yesterday we did the budget, are celebratory in nature, it's hard to celebrate today. When we stood at a press conference, and I know we'll hear from Representative Blumenthal and Representative Gilchrist later, who co-chair our Reproductive Rights Caucus, I think we knew that other states were coming after Connecticut. I think we knew that there was going to be 15, 16, 20 states that passed laws that frankly targeted Connecticut physicians. But I don't think any of us really thought the Supreme Court would go this far. There was this sliver of hope that maybe somebody would find another way to not write the opinion that we saw that was released. But frankly, it was far worse than we thought. So for those who take this for, who have sort of taken this for granted for a long time, the generation that I was born in, the generation that my mother came into as she entered her adulthood, it truly is at risk now in this country, and it's truly at risk for a lot of people. And what pains me the most about this decision is that it's essentially the U.S. Supreme Court, and this is a phrase that it just drives me crazy when we sort of say, it's your lot in life. I'm sorry that you were born in Alabama, and I'm sorry that you are poor, and you can't afford to travel to a state where your reproductive rights will be respected. But that's your lot in life. I'm sorry you were born in Arkansas, and that even though you were raped, you have to bring this baby to term. That's your lot in life. We are such a better country than that. And we've been such a better country than that for a long time, in large part because of our Supreme Court and stare decisis. And in June, that could be with a snap of a finger taken away. But I've already spoken too long, and there's going to be some really powerful people who I know will speak terrifically about their stories and their experiences. And I'm really proud to lead a caucus with such wonderful people and to support them any way I can. Thank you.
So next, it's my honor to introduce a very courageous legislator who has shared her story, and it's my pleasure to bring up Representative Amy Berger-Javallo.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and I want to thank the Governor's office for allowing me this moment to speak. I'm going to use this opportunity as a plea to everyone who is listening. I am an accidental abortion storyteller. I never intended to be this. I never intended to have this role and this responsibility. It was a response to conversation that was loaded with lies and with an intention that would harm so many, and I felt that I couldn't let the opportunity go. And that opportunity opened up more opportunities, and the next thing I knew, I was just sort of the girl who talks about her abortion in as many public places as she can find. In doing so, so many have come to me to talk to me about their stories, to tell me about their experience, to tell me they also are not ashamed of their abortion. They're not ashamed of their history. They're not ashamed of the choice that they made. Some are stories loaded with pain. Some are stories just about a circumstance. But the thing that I ask of you, the plea that I am making, is that you listen as people tell their stories. What's happening across the country, what we've done here in Connecticut, it is giving folks who have never spoken about their abortions an opportunity to do so. Please listen and remember that someone you love has had an abortion. Someone you know has had an abortion. Say the word, it's okay. You could say abortion. All of these things are critical to opening up the conversation and to destigmatizing abortion and to moving forward together as a country and as a state. And I am so grateful to the people who are standing behind me for the work that they have done on this. And I am hopeful that if we all come together, this is something that we can perhaps someday stop having to talk about. Thank you.
Amy, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to bring up now the leaders of the Reproductive Healthcare Caucus, and we'll start with Representative Jillian Gilchrist.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Today, I want to take some time to thank quite a few people who helped us get to this place. I want to start by thanking my good co-chair, Representative Matt Blumenthal of the Reproductive Rights Caucus. I want to thank the Speaker for supporting us in our efforts. I want to thank all of the members of the Reproductive Rights Caucus, many of whom are behind us today. A special thanks to Representative Amy Berger-Jaballo for continuing to share her story so that others feel comfortable doing the same. And to the advocates, Gretchen Raffa of Planned Parenthood of Southern New England, Liz Gustafson of Pro-Choice Connecticut, and Claudine Fox from the ACLU of Connecticut for their support and their advocacy. We can't do it without them. This is a dark day. This is a dark time for our country. And I'm glad that Connecticut can be a light. Access to abortion protects our bodily autonomy. Access to abortion respects our decision to choose whether or when to get pregnant. Access to abortion grants us freedom. Those of us in Connecticut will continue to fight to ensure that access to abortion isn't dependent on your income, on your race, and certainly not on your zip code. I want to thank Governor Lamont for signing the Reproductive Freedom Defense Act into law and continuing Connecticut's legacy of leading on reproductive choice. Thank you.
Jillian, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to introduce State Representative Matt Blumenthal.
Thank you, Madam Lieutenant Governor. I'm proud to stand today with you as one of the co-chairs of the Reproductive Rights Caucus for the Connecticut General Assembly. And there are so many people to thank today. I want to thank the governor's office and the governor for throwing his support behind this bill early, the Attorney General, the Division of Criminal Justice, the Judicial Branch, and so many others for helping us not only get this bill done, but get it done right. And I want to give a special thank you to Speaker Matt Ritter, who, through his support and the support of his office, behind us early, and I think his help was essential to get us getting it done. But most of all, I want to thank the members, especially my co-chair Jillian, whom you just heard from, of the Reproductive Rights Caucus. This group behind us drafted and fought for and championed and passed the strongest law protecting abortion rights, reproductive rights, and LGBTQ rights from interstate attack in the country, the Reproductive Freedom Defense Act. And why don't we just give them all a round of applause right now. This law is going to be a model and a blueprint for other states around the country who want to protect the rights of their residents, their physicians, their nurses, their facilities, people who are coming to their states for legal abortion care and other care that states across the country right now are seeking to attack. And despite the fact that today is a day we're celebrating the passage of this law, I don't want to discount the darkness of the era it looks like we're about to enter. The opinion that was leaked from the Supreme Court not only would eviscerate abortion rights for so many across this country, but it would set us back almost 100 years on rights we've come to take for granted as Americans. Not only reproductive rights, but the right to same-sex intimacy, the right to same-sex marriage, the right to contraception, perhaps even the right to interracial marriage. All of these are on the chopping block based on the logic of this opinion. And this law says to people across the country, essentially, Texas, don't mess with Connecticut. In this era to come, Connecticut is going to protect its residents. Connecticut is going to protect its doctors, its nurses, its hospitals. Connecticut is going to protect its women and every woman and every person across this country seeking a legal abortion here in the state of Connecticut or any other reproductive health care against interstate attack. So today, as we celebrate the passage of this bill and we anticipate what's to come, I want to send a message to every person out there across the country that here in Connecticut, we believe in your right to be who you are as an LGBTQ person, and we will protect you. We believe in your right to reproductive freedom, and we will protect you. We believe in your right to determine your future and to control your own body, and we will protect you. We believe in these rights. We will defend you. Thank you.
Before I bring up our final speaker, we also want to say thank you to our Attorney General, William Tong, who's just been a steadfast supporter of a woman's right to choose. He couldn't be here because of a scheduling conflict, but we want to give him a shout out because he has been just tremendous. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Governor, Ned Lamont, who has been a steadfast advocate for women in our state. Governor Lamont.
Well, thank you, Susan. And I've never been so proud of our state and the legislative group that's taken the lead here on behalf of women and on behalf of reproductive rights. Let me pull the lens back a little bit. You know, Susan said we're one of the 2 top states in the country for being family friendly. By the way, who's the other one? And let me tell you what that means to me. That means that when you're ready to be pregnant and whether you're ready to have that baby, we are doing everything we can to support you. That means we are providing prenatal support and support after birth. That means we have paid family leave to make sure you're there with your baby when you're ready to have that baby. That means we have the largest expansion, thanks to the folks behind me here, of daycare and childcare in the history of the state. And it also means family-friendly, that you decide when you're ready to be pregnant, when you're ready to have that baby. And that is what is under threat, and that is what this bill is all about. To me, it's shocking. Everybody talking about freedom. This is a fundamental freedom issue that is being challenged by the Supreme Court. Fundamental. And Jillian taking the lead, making sure that we have more access to abortion, more access to reproductive choices, more people able to perform this, less of a wait. That's one of the things we've done in this bill. And as Matt Blumenthal said, Texas, stop fooling with Connecticut. It's not going to happen. And you try and come after our doctors, you try and come after women who come into the state or women in this state, not going to happen here. We're going to protect you. No subpoenas, no going after it. We can countersue. We were doing everything we can to stand up on behalf of the reproductive rights of all of our citizens. And by the way, this is a little bit of a family affair. Matt Blumenthal taking the lead, as you just heard. His dad tomorrow is submitting the bill to Congress, submitting the bill to the Senate, making sure this is a right across the country, not just in Connecticut. Not just in Connecticut. As Speaker Ritter said, this is universal. You cannot ask a poor woman in Arkansas, sorry, wrong zip code. You don't get that right. You don't get that choice. Not here in Connecticut. We're standing up for you. I hope this is a template and example for other states around the country. Appreciate your being here, and I appreciate what each and every one of you did on behalf of women and on behalf of a family-friendly state. Is your bill?
I'm going to blow away.
Go. All right, go.
I can't see.
He's a longer name.
Thank you guys for this round.
Of course, how are you? How's your summer going? So far, so good.
Whoa. All right, when we're done with pictures, we'll do questions. And we'll do any questions on this bill first. Sorry, WTIC, that just blew over. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, you got it?
I got it. Today's been good to me. Been nice.
Thank you guys so much.
Any questions?
Yeah, John Freeman of News 12 asked me to come up here. So he asked me if there are any advocates who might come to the mic and explain any concerns that they have regarding a constitutional amendment and the wording of such an amendment.
Constitutional amendment.
Anybody want to talk about a constitutional
amendment? Jillian or Matt?
Go ahead.
speak to it. Jillian Gilchrist, State Representative. So we felt that the urgency at this time was to pass the Reproductive Freedom Defense Act because it expands access and also puts in protections, as you've heard. With regards to a constitutional amendment, we are still looking into it. It would take at least 4 years, depending on the makeup of our legislature, and we're trying to determine if it is legally necessary.
But was there any concern about how to word it? That was his specific question.
No, we didn't even get to that part. Yeah, we didn't get that far.
Matt, you want to comment?
Sure, I would echo everything that Jillian said. Well said. We viewed these as the legal protections that were most urgent and necessary. Thankfully, Connecticut has already protected the right to choose through codifying Roe in 1990, and our state Supreme Court has also found the right to privacy from which the right to legal abortion comes in our state constitution. It's certainly something that we would entertain in the future, but we viewed these protections in the Reproductive Freedom Defense Act as the ones that were most urgent and necessary.
And I guess I would just add this, that it looks like from the draft opinion, the Supreme Court is saying states get to decide. So we've already codified Roe versus Wade into our state statutes. So we should also see what the final opinion says before we move forward as well. Any other questions?
Well, on that topic, are you concerned that some future legislature in Connecticut should then go back and change and do what you've done here? Is there a need for a more permanent protection?
Over a lot of years.
Look, our statute has stood the test of time since the early 1990s, and all these folks will tell you there are attacks every year. So we are used to fighting back on attacks, and I'll let any other legislator add to that if they want.
She said it well. I think the Lieutenant Governor said it well.
Okay.
Well, if you're running for re-election, then how do you think this issue is going to be a factor in Connecticut? As you said, we've codified it. The presumptive Republican candidate and his running mate have said it's codified. We don't see that changing.
Oh, but I would push back on that and say it's one thing to support the current law. It's another thing to step forward and say, and if a bill should come to your desk, that you will veto it and you will fight any attempts to weaken our law, because those happen every year. So you're not pro-choice, in my estimation, until you step up and say that.
Governor?
Yeah. Hey, Paul, I think elections matter. And we've got a really good legislature right here and going to stand up for women's rights and reproductive rights. You got a governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general who are ready to do the same thing. But elections matter. And who knows what happens in 5 years plus? If you have a different governor, you have a different legislature, different people appointed to the court. Look what happened to the appointees to the Supreme Court over the last 5 years. Elections matter. You know, doesn't bother me having a constitutional amendment. If it takes a little more time, let's make that something that can't be jiggered with in future administrations.
Well, will you be pressing Mr. Stepanowski and Ms. Devlin on their positions on, say, something like parental consent or parental notification? We have seen bills in the past from Republican legislators on those topics.
Yes. And more to the point, you know, I think any candidate for governor's got to speak up and let us know where you stand. The Supreme Court, that leak, is really jeopardizing a lot of fundamental rights. And right now, what have I heard from the Republican candidate for governor? Crickets.
Okay. On-topic questions?
All yours, Gov. What do you got?
Governor, your former Department of Public Health Commissioner filed a lawsuit recently in federal court alleging some discrimination with the administration. I wonder if you care to respond to what's out here.
I don't think so. It's a pending suit. Let's let the courts decide.
Generally, what do you make of claims that there's any sort of discrimination within your administration?
Look, I appointed the very best people I could to this administration. I think now we got to let the courts play this out. There are a lot of lawsuits in and around government. Well, A, I'm not sure that's true, Paul. But secondly, I think you know we have the most diverse administration in the history of the state, and I'm not going to allow any type of discrimination happen on my watch. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much.